The deeper I went into Bitcoin, the more I realized that I never truly understood money before. This video isn't about convincing anyone to invest in Bitcoin. It's about understanding the truth and looking at money objectively. One of the most frustrating realizations for me was understanding that none of this was taught in school. I spent years in classrooms, much like a lot of you guys are doing, learning how to memorize facts, pass tests, and follow instructions, but not once taught me how money actually works. No one explained how currency is created, why inflation exists, or how the monetary system quietly shapes every part of our lives. We were taught how to earn money, but never how money itself functions. In school, money was treated like a fixed constant, something stable and something you shouldn't really question. You're taught to get good grades, get a job, save your money, and everything else will be fine. There's no discussion about purchasing power, debasement, or why saving in cash over long periods almost guarantees that you fall behind. Those topics are either oversimplified or avoided entirely. And looking back, that omission doesn't feel accidental. What school really trains you for is compliance, not understanding. You're taught to trust the system, not question it, to follow the rules, not examine who wrote them. Bitcoin and crypto in general was the first thing that really forced me to unlearn that mindset. It didn't give me answers, it forced me to ask better questions. Questions that should have been encouraged early on, but never were. We're taught algebra, history, and how to write essays, yet the most important system that we will ever interact with, money, is barely explained at all. Not how banks actually work, not how debt expands the money supply, not why inflation is persistent, and not who benefits when new money is created first. Now, once I saw that gap, I couldn't unsee it. And maybe that's the point. A population that understands money is harder to control. When people understand how the system actually works, they stop blindly trusting it, and they start asking those uncomfortable questions. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole became my real financial education, not because it promised me wealth, but because it exposed the rules of the game that school never really explained. And once you learn to play the game, you can get better at it. And that's what this video aims to do. Quick disclaimer, none of this is financial advice. And hey, this video took a ton of work to put together. So if you find any value here whatsoever, please do me a solid and hit that like button. It helps more than you know, and it tells the algorithm that you enjoy content like this. For most of my life, money felt simple and tangible. Cash, coins, a paycheck in the bank account, something real, something solid. But the deeper I went, the more I realized that money isn't a physical thing at all. It's an agreement, a shared belief, numbers in a database that we all trust because we're told to trust them. Bitcoin forces you to confront that reality directly. Before I understood Bitcoin, I accepted money as face value. I never questioned how it was created, who controlled it, or why it seemed to buy me less every single year. It just worked. Saved what I could, paid my bills, and assumed the system would eventually reward responsibility. I believed if I followed the rules, everything would work out. Bitcoin disrupted that belief entirely. When I say if you don't understand Bitcoin, you don't understand money, I'm not trying to sound extreme or provocative. I'm saying it because that realization fundamentally changed how I see the entire financial system. It didn't happen overnight. Most of my life, I believe money worked the way I was taught. You work, you get paid, you save some, you spend some, and if you're disciplined enough, the future takes care of itself. Money felt permanent. Dollars in a bank account felt safe because I assumed the rules governing them were fixed and fair, but they aren't. It wasn't until I started seriously studying Bitcoin, not trading it, not speculating on price, but actually studying it, that I realized that money isn't a thing at all. Money is a system. It's a ledger. It's a mechanism for tracking value and trust over time. The dollar isn't valuable because of the paper that it's on. It's valuable because we collectively agree to believe in it and because the government enforces its use. Once you understand that, the illusion of hard money disappears. Bitcoin strips that illusion away and replaces it with transparency. As I dug deeper, Bitcoin forced me to ask questions that I've never asked before. Who decides how much money exists? Who decides when more gets created? And who gets access to it first? With fiat money, the answers are intentionally vague. Central banks created new money, commercial banks multiplied through lending, and the average person doesn't see the consequences immediately. They feel it later through higher prices, inflated asset values, and the slow erosion of the purchasing power. Inflation isn't an accident or a mistake. It's a built-in feature of the system. Bitcoin made this impossible for me to ignore. Bitcoin in particular showed me that money doesn't have to function this way. There will only be 21 million Bitcoin. The issuance schedule is known for decades in advance. There are no emergency meetings, no policy changes, no bailouts, no exceptions. Once I understood that, I realized how abnormal our current money system actually is. We've gotten used to the rules always changing and money being created, even though it slowly hurts anyone who saves it. People love to say Bitcoin is backed by nothing. But once you understand Bitcoin, you realize that nothing is truly backed by anything anymore. The US dollar hasn't been backed by gold for decades. More than 90% of all the dollars don't exist physically at all. They are just numbers inside the banking systems that can be created with a few keystrokes. That's what fiat currency means. It exists because the government declares it's valid and people collectively trust it. Historically, governments rarely resist the temptation to print more. And when you create more and more of something, its value declines. That's why the dollar from the 1950s is worth a fraction of what it once was. Bitcoin was created as a response to this exact problem. Unlike fiat money, it has a strict, immutable supply. No one can wake up tomorrow and decide to print more Bitcoin to solve a crisis or fund a deficit. That scarcity is the entire point. Crypto doesn't promise perfection, but it does promise visibility. The rules are clear, public, and enforceable by anyone running the software. Another thing that Bitcoin forced me to confront is that money is deeply political. I used to believe that money was neutral, something that existed quietly in the background of life. Bitcoin showed me that money is one of the most powerful tools of control ever created. Who can open a bank account? Who can be frozen out of that system? And who gets bailouts? Who pays the price when things break? In the traditional financial systems, these decisions are made by intermediaries. With crypto, the rules are written in code and applied equally. That idea alone shattered my old understanding of what money could be. Crypto also forced me to understand time in a way that I never had before. I never understood why saving felt so heavily encouraged, yet so underwhelming. Why doing everything right still resulted in falling behind. Why assets ran away faster than wages. Crypto made it clear that when money is constantly being debased, holding cash over long periods is a guaranteed loss. Bitcoin introduced me to the idea of money as stored energy, value tied to real-world cost, efforts, and scarcity. Proof of work isn't just like some technical concept, it's an economic one. Once I understood that, I stopped seeing money as something that I should hoard and started seeing it as something to protect from dilution, a tool needed to grow itself. Most importantly, crypto exposed how fragile the financial system really is. Banks don't actually hold your money. Markets don't move purely off fundamentals. Liquidity drives everything. Crypto doesn't hide this reality or pretend otherwise. It's brutally honest. It shows you how the mechanics of money is in real time. It forces you to understand supply and demand and human behavior. People love to call Bitcoin fake and a scam or a collective illusion, but money has always been a shared illusion. Gold, dollars, stocks, and crypto all derive value from collective belief. Every monetary system attracts bad actors. Banks collapse, governments abuse power, fraud exists wherever money exists. Bitcoin is no different in that regard. But the difference is that Bitcoin's ledger is public, its rules are fixed, and the system itself has never been compromised. Scammers don't invalidate the system, they reveal why systems that don't require trust matter. So no, you don't have to like crypto. You don't have to own it. You don't have to believe it will replace our current financial system. But if you dismiss it without understanding it, you're missing the most important lesson it has to offer. Crypto isn't about charts or getting rich. It's about understanding what money actually is. When you understand how Bitcoin works and how it relates to money, everything changes. If you don't understand Bitcoin, you don't understand money. And once you see that, there is no going back. Thanks for watching.